finding stuff. They may want just the full thing in one video. So we're gonna start off with doing them in a form of live streaming. So I'm probably going to cover essentially all aspects of the mod that I'm giving a tutorial on for the live stream. So let's begin. To begin with Tinker's Construct, you need specific items to start with. You'll need your tool station, your part builder, your pattern chest, and stencil table. I'll explain as I go how to get them. And like most videos, I am not going to teach you how to actually craft the item. That's in any eye. That's easy enough to find. So let's start off. I'm going to put my tool forge there. That's kind of a later version of the tool station, part builder, pattern chest, and stencil table. All right, so our stencil table will allow us to make stencils. In this case, I'm going to make enough for a sword and a hammer. So let's do that. We're going to need a tool rod for the sword. I'm going to get a sword blade pattern, wide guard pattern, and then we need to start on the hammer. So let's do that. There. Next, we need plates and a tough tool rod. Good. And there we go. All right, so that's your basics on how to make the stencils. Now, to actually create the item, you're going to need some form of item to fill the stencil. In this case, I'm probably going to be using some thaumium and some cactus. So let's see. Thaumium. There we go. Got some thaumium, and I'd like some cactus as well. All right. Good. On top of that, we're gonna need a smeltery. So let's create a smeltery now. So to create your basic smeltery, you need essentially just this pattern. This is the absolute bare minimum for a smeltery. I'm not gonna make it look nice or anything. I'm just gonna say, hey, this is a smeltery, or this is what you need for a smeltery, and you're good to go. All right, so one there, and that, and this is expandable. You can go up as high as you want. There's essentially no limit unless you reach world cap. Then you really won't be able to build above that. Then you won't be able to build below bedrock. All right, so then we need to fill up the tank with lava. Let's get another form of lava. Let's see. Might as well. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay. And all tanks can hold roughly 4. So good. And you can only have one smeltery controller, and you need a seared tank next to it. All right. So now we're going to actually need a faucet at mod.tinker. So let's get our faucet wherever it may be. There we go. Seared faucets. Okay. So got one of those. Good. And we're going to need a casting table. So casting table, where are you? There you are. All right, cool. So let's start off with a few things. Probably store some of the stuff we don't need in a chest right now. We're gonna need that though. Put that away. That. All right, cool. So the basics of making a sword and a actual hammer is essentially the same as making any other tool. In this case, we're going to be using some parts that are smelted and other parts that are not. So let's see. We're going to make a wide guard like so. Good. And these are worth half of an item. Since they only have a 0.5 material cost, we're only using 0.5 of it. So it gives us these as 0.5, or these two. Alright, so we're going to have to make a cast for a tough tool rod. So yeah, you can use stone, you can use whatever material. In this case, I had thaumium on me. Generally, that's not ideal. So don't think you have to get thaumium to make the cast. So let's see. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. We're going to do that once the gold melts down. You can also use aluminum brass, which is aluminum and copper. That also works to make a cast mold. So keep that in mind. All right, we don't need a tool rod pattern anymore. Let's continue making the other parts we need. We're going to need a thaumium large plate. We're actually going to need 2 of these. In this case, I'm going to use paper as well. If you want a sturdy hammer, I advise not to use paper. But I'll actually make a sturdy hammer and kind of like a modifier hammer. So we'll do that. Add mod tinkers. So in fact, we should probably, yeah. All right, let's make another plate of thaumium, and that should be all right. All right. This stuff can go here. I need it on me. All right. So now our gold melted down. So we're gonna cast rod. Now we're gonna cast the plate. Good. And then I want to cast a hammer head. So we're gonna do that as well. All right. So let's just use paper this time also. Don't have to use paper, like I said. You can use cobblestone, you can use thaumium, you can use whatever. All right, so we got our cast. Now I want to start actually making the items. So hammerhead costs 8, and I so happen to know that cobalt's a really good hammerhead. So we're actually going to make 2 hammerheads. So keep that in mind. I'm not just making 1. Because 4 would be enough for just 1. Alright. And after that, we're probably gonna make a sturdier one and as well as a not so sturdy one. And let's get some lapis. Some redstone. Or, you know what? Yeah, let's do that instead. That'll be much faster. Because we're gonna upgrade these as well, and then I want some nether quartz. Or we can just do quartz. Yeah, right there. Oh no, not quartz slabs. Block of quartz. There we go. All right. Our cobalt should almost be done. Yep, almost done. All right. Good. All right. So we're gonna get 2 hammerheads. And next we're going to start casting some manilion. So I'm going to want, I think, a couple manilion plates. Ardite. Alright, I can go in there, and let's get some blocks of ardite. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. In fact, we're going to want more manilion than that. So we'll do that. Alright, good. Got our hammerhead. Let's make 1 more. And we're not going to need this paper hammerhead. Good. Alright, so we got our 2 hammerheads. Or at least we should. Go in there. Curious, where's our other hammerhead? I think my game hated. Oh, well. That's fine. We'll just cheat it and then. Alright, so cobalt, hammer, head. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so we got a second one of those. Now we're making manilion. And they'll, the alloys will fuse. So, see, it automatically makes manilion. Let's put 1 more cobalt in there. Alright. And we're going to want to make 1 plate of manilion, I believe. Yeah, 1 plate of manilion. Alright, that should be done. Now I want a sword blade of manilion. Oh, we forgot to make gold. Well, that's convenient because I needed to show you guys something anyways. Alright, so you can go in there. All this stuff can go in here, and in this, and this. That. And that. Alright, so let's make a sword blade. I need to actually make a pattern first. There we go. Alright, so we got a paper sword blade. Perfect. Now we'll take this, and we'll wait for the gold to melt down. Should be done any moment. Perfect. Alright, so let's move the gold to the bottom by clicking on it. Good. Now we'll just take our paper sword blade and some gold, and it's good to go. There we go. Alright, so we got our sword blade cast. And now we're going to make some manilion. Now these are extremely ideal tools for you to use. So if you're looking to make a hammer or a sword, these are really good ways to make them. We're going to need a hardened flux capacitor. There we go, hardened flux capacitor. Alright, cool. Alright, now we're actually going to put our stuff together. Let's see if we have everything. Got this, Chromium tough rod. We don't need that. Oh, I forgot one thing. So to clear that out, we just need to make an ingot cast. So let's do that. So we're gonna do gold. And then you just put any ingot on there, and then you pour the mold over it, essentially like everything else. Alright, looks like we're almost done, and then we can just get the cast going. There we go, perfect. Alright, so give me a mold. You're not, oh, you know what? You probably don't like that, it's thaumium. Let's just get any old ingot. It probably doesn't recognize thaumium as an ingot. There we go, see, much better. Now it recognizes it. Alright, good, and then we'll just pour the manilion. Good. Alright, so next what we want to do is we're going to make the tough tool rod. Alright, so we got our tough tool rod cast. Now let's get some ardite. The reason we're going to be using ardite is because it gives this ability called Stonebound. What Stonebound is as the weapon loses, or the tool loses durability, it'll mine faster. And the similar attribute for weapons is actually cactus, which is jagged. So as a weapon loses durability, if it has a jagged effect, it'll attack faster. So that's a good thing to note when you're making your tools. I especially like Stonebound, and it's a more ideal form. I believe Netherrack and Stone also have it, so you can use those as well. But Ardite has much more durability and whatnot, so Ardite's preferred when doing this. All right, and then we'll get into stat modifiers as well as automation of this. Alright, there we go. Awesome. So we got our ardite tough tool rod. Actually we wanted to make one, so let's melt that one down, and then we can start by actually making this stuff. So let's do that. Okay, so our first initial hammer, we're going to do an ardite tough tool rod, we're going to do a cobalt hammer head, we're going to do a paper large plate, and we're going to do a thaumium large plate. The reason we want to do paper is because it gives you an extra modifier. Same goes for thaumium, although thaumium you can only add one extra modifier for thaumium, whereas if you made a whole thing out of paper, you would get that many extra modifiers. Thaumium's limited to one, but it does have a lot more durability, which is why it's ideal. Cobalt hammerhead has a high mining rate, and ardite gives Stonebound. So we're going to make that. That's our first one. And we're going to be waiting on one thing to make our second one. But for now, we're going to start by making a broadsword. I prefer this sword just because I get the block and whatnot, but other people may prefer other swords. It's really up to you. Okay, so we got our Manilian sword blade. That's the highest heart damage you can get. You got your Thaumium tool rod for extra modifier, and then we have our Cactus White Guard for the jagged effect. All right, good. So we got that, and it looks like our tool rod's ready to go. Now there's a reason I made the paper hammer as well as the other hammer. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so in this case we're going to be using a Thaumium large plate. We want 2 Thaumium large. No, not 2 Thaumium, sorry. We want a Manilian plate, so let's make that as well. Oh, we already have it. Good. Alright, that saves us some trouble. So that goes there, and that goes there, that, and that. Now, the thing about this one is, this is ideal for, like, if you just want to repair it and you don't want to bother recharging your item. This one's meant to last a long time, whereas this one isn't meant to last as long due to the fact that you're gonna kind of be relying on energy with this one. So, for example, this is how I usually enchant this one. I'll do this, and then I'll get my flux. That allows you to recharge it, making it not lose durability. And then you do Lapis for luck, and you would keep doing that until you get 450. I'm not going to do that on camera, because that would take forever. And then you would max out redstone on it. You can also put on, like, moss and whatnot. It's really up to you. I don't care for the moss. I also don't do auto grinding and auto smelting, which is another thing you could do. It's just something I don't do. But you can totally do it. You can get auto grinding, auto smelting on it. It's completely up to you. And if you refer to the book from Tinker's Construct, Tinker's right over here. This one. Oh no, not this one. It's this one. I believe it was. Nope, not that one either. It was the red one. There we go. Alright, so if you look over here, you'll be able to find all your modifiers and whatnot. See? It shows them all. Emeralds, whatnot, tool station, blah, blah, blah. Hey, okay. So you can always refer to the red book if you need any info on that. And in this case, we would just keep putting on redstone until we essentially hit the cap. Whoops. Yeah. So, there we go. See? Just keep doing that. And this does use up modifiers quicker, because Lapis only takes up one modifier ever. It will never ever take up more than one modifier. Whereas Redstone, the moment you hit a cap, you'll actually take up another modifier. So that's something to note when you're doing this. It does take up a good chunk of modifiers. See? Alright, there we go. And that's all out. Now, if you wanted to kind of build one of these, I usually do an emerald, because that increases durability like a ridiculous amount to our already ridiculous amount. See, we increase from 14,400 to 21,600. Then you can put on Lapis, obviously. And then you can do redstone. Redstone's pretty ideal. It makes it mine faster. That's extremely ideal. See, and then you could just go all the way to cap. Now, let's say if you wanted to add a couple more modifiers, because those aren't really enough. There is a way to do that, and I'll show you that now. We just need a gold block, a diamond, and a nether star. There we go. Now, for the first upgrade, you would need, see, we got one modifier remaining. Now, let's say we put a diamond and a gold block in there. See, now we have two. and then we put another star in, and then we have 3. Now, you can't put another nether star in it. It just doesn't work. Once you run out of those 2, you're done. There is no more. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Now, for our sword, same goes for Lapis on here, only this gives looting and whatnot. So instead of fortune on here, you'd eventually get fortune as well as looting, because this can also act as a weapon, but essentially that's used for fortune, whereas this gains looting and whatnot. So that's something to note on here. Also, let's see, what we're going to do. You can use nether quartz in blocks or regular form, like this, and you can up the damage. Same as redstone. Every time you kind of pass a tier, you will use another modifier slot. So keep that in mind when you're creating your sword's modifiers. It's going to keep using them. So that's something to note. Now let's move on to automating this smeltery. So to automate our smeltery, we got our basic smeltery laid out. Let's get rid of this and get a redstone clock. All right, there we go. Redstone clock. What redstone clocks do is they constantly pulse, basically saying, "Hey, please, like, do something because I'm emitting a redstone signal," and these react to redstone signals. So whenever it pulses, it'll say, "Hey, like, take some of whatever's in there out." If you also wanted to, you could do this as well. Take a smeltery drain, and you can also hook it up to a fluid duct as well as a tank. So if you're one of those persons that like are the people that like to have a visual representation of your ore, you can keep it in liquid form. Let's do that, and then get a wrench. All right, and we'll just use this wrench. Good. And then I need a pneumatic servo, as well as one other thing I want to. Now, you can use iron tanks from Railcraft. You can use ender tanks, and essentially anything. In this case, we're just going to use a portable tank for thermal expansion. Right-click the pneumatic servo on there, and then that'll automatically output. You don't need a lever to activate it. So that's 2 ways of storing your ore, right? So let's toss a ton of gold in there and let it kind of do its thing. Now, for over here, to further automate this, what you do is you take, let's just take like any old chest or anything, and then grab our hopper. All right, place our hopper there, and essentially any ingot that comes out there will be dropped into the hopper and then eventually into the chest. So let's take this one step further. Let's get a quantum generator. There. Get rid of all. Now let's run that. There. That. All right. Cool. Now let's make a small ME system. We'll put one there. That goes there. There, and then we need an access terminal, as well as a 1K storage drive at mod.applied. Alright, so we got our 1K storage drive. Let's just toss that in there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to throw cobalt in there, I guess. We're going to have an export bus, an import bus, as well as some cable. So basically we're going to hook our import bus up to this thing right here. And we'll bring this over here. So essentially anything that lands in there will be taken into the system. Now we'll actually put an export bus here. Actually, you know what? We need a precision or a fuzzy. So let's get one of those. Let's use a precision export bus. So we'll take our precision export bus, place that there, and then we'll do that. Perfect. All right. So now we're going to tell it, please export any cobalt you get. So there we go. And we can have it do it in stacked mode or single mode. It's up to you. It's really up to you. And then this will melt it down, and until all the cobalt's out of the system, it'll keep requesting it until this thing is full. So let's say we wanted to kind of like expand on this. We could do this, that, and that. And bam! Now it should start loading up with more cobalt. And you can, like I said, you can keep doing this as high up as you want. So I could add another row, and it would gladly throw in more cobalt. And you can also add in more faucets as well as drains and whatnot. It's really up to you. Hell, you can even get a drain on that side as well. So let's get one. Mod dot tinkers. Oh, whoops. All right. So down there, faucet. We just take this and place that there. See if that's actually connected, believe it or not. So like if we put a tank there and waited. Oh, well, maybe it isn't connected. That's interesting. It worked before. Oh, grr. Fire smart guys. Alright, place that there. Oh, guess not. Okay, well, it worked in a previous version. I guess it's not working now. Either that or it's out of cobalt. Oh, no, it's not. It's just... Oh, there it goes. Okay, I'm wrong. So, yeah, don't listen to me. That actually does work. Alright, I think this pretty much covers what I wanted to cover. Let's just make sure on a few things. Good. With pig iron, you can, if you need blood, you could essentially put villagers or monsters in there, and that would get you blood and whatnot. You can get Silk Touch with Silky Jewel. Another thing to note is each part has a different amount of like durability and whatnot, so keep that in mind when you're doing it. Because like with the paper hammer we made, you saw that had far less durability. So keep that in mind when you're producing items. They may or may not have low durability. So definitely keep that in mind. But that's how you essentially automate and create a good amount of tools and weapons. So if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Keep checking me out. I'm going to be doing the live streams for a full-on tutorial on a consistent basis, or you could just watch my short tutorials, which are straight and to the point. So thanks. I'll see you all later.